Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel where I have recently been reading books aloud. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to start a different series and I'm going to talk to you about books you may like. So depending upon if you like romance, fantasy, books you can now get into because you have a little bit, hopefully more time. Although I have found working from home that I do not have more time, which is absolutely fascinating. Yeah. But there we are. I feel like I lose track of time in the sense that I'll start something at 9 in the morning and then go till 8 at night. I got to get on a schedule. um, so what I've provided for you today are 3 YA novels for those of you who like to lean into whatever's going on. Right now we have stay-at-home order in the States. Some of us are quarantined. And so I have decided to lean into this post-apocalyptic genre or the doomsday genre or, the end. The end. Um, it's not the end. So there are those of us who, in a way, like our fears are, hey, I'm going to really just dive into that and not turn my back on it, which is interesting. I'm one of those people that dive in when I probably shouldn't. But also, these books can remind you that, okay, well, we're not there, right? We're not there. So we're doing okay. Yeah. So 3 YA novels, they're going to span across certain genres. So I have a realistic novel, I have a contagion novel, and I have, naturally, a zombie novel, which is the first one I'm going to start with. I'm a believer that if you are talking about post-apocalyptic literature, film, anything like that, fiction, what have you, I think you have to have a zombie novel on your list. I do, because honestly, it's the rising of the dead, end times, all that. I think you have to have it. So I have chosen This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers. Full disclosure, I favor Courtney Summers. I adore her novels. I started loving her novels when I was in college or high school. I can't remember. But she was the first author who basically said, here's an angry, teenage girl, and I'm going to shove her in your face because she's realistic. No, she's not whimpering and crying out and things of that nature. She's angry and she has every right to be. And I think she just does that so well. And that was the first time I'd ever seen, an angry female protagonist. And I kind of hate that term, angry female protagonist, but you know what? I'm owning it. I'm owning it in all its glory. So we have This Is Not a Test. This is totally different from anything else she's ever written. Because she usually does realistic. And this is super cool because it's a zombie novel. You have these kids, 6 of them, who gather in the school. They're not friends, so they don't know each other. They don't call each other and say, hey, let's meet. They are anti-friends almost. So they meet in the school, they lock it down, and they've seen these zombies. And these are not your, lumbering, they might get you one day zombies. They are 28 days later zombies on steroids. So they are coming and they are relentless and they are not going to stop. And that's super scary. It terrifies me. Your protagonist is Sloane. And what's really interesting is that Sloane doesn't particularly care if she lives or dies because her life ended a long time ago, in her opinion. So she's all right if, these guys can take her right out. The problem is that the 5 people she's currently with want desperately to survive. They want desperately to live. So you get to see this whole end of times thing through the eyes of someone who doesn't want to live, and yet she's witnessing people who do. And it's a really lovely thing because it's almost a longing. Like she sees it and yet she can't understand it. Yeah. But the whole thing is so stressful because Sloane is an unpredictable protagonist. You have no idea what she's going to do. You're in her head the entire time, and you do not know what call she's going to make. And I feel like a lot of authors will do I tried to make it unpredictable. unpredictable. Like, you won't see that coming. Yes, we do. Sloane, I don't know what she's going to do. I never, yeah. It's like, I'm really stressed out because I don't know what you're going to do. Please just make a great decision and not a bad one. But who knows? So if you like zombie novels, if you like realistic, characters, and these are teens, they act like teens, they're impulsive, they are, they focus on interesting things. There's a little bit of romance if you like that. It's just a great book, and it is the first in a series. So yeah, it's not particularly long. There you go. That's your zombie choice. Book 2 is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I had to include this. I had to, because this book was everywhere in 2019. It had so much praise surrounding it, so much hype, and really it did deserve it, which is just great. It's always good when something lives up to the hype. So this book has been labeled as the female version of Lord of the Flies. That pretty much tells you a huge chunk of it. It is the Contagion novel. So it's Lord of the Flies with a Contagion and an all-female ensemble cast. It's not ensemble, but all-female, characters. Super cool. Contagion terrifies me. Okay? By the time you know it's there, it's already too late, and there's not much you can do. And that's what happened to the girls of Raxter Academy. They were just living their normal lives, going about it, and then the tox hit. The tox is, whatever contagion type thing that spread throughout Raxter Academy specifically. And that's what's really interesting, is that the whole world is still going on, and those girls are quarantined. So the tox took out the teachers first, and then it came for the students. And the girls it's not like they're immune. The tox actually just mutates their bodies. And it's not mutations like, like they grew another eyebrow or whatever. Not like a unibrow, but another eyebrow, whatever. One girl has a fish hand. One girl has a second spine. It just gave me like the heebie-jeebies, because anything to do with the body and mutation just really freaks me out. So this was super creepy for me, and I was absolutely fascinated. I dug right in. You pick up with the characters 18 months after the tox first hit. So they've been quarantined 18 months. Food is low. They keep getting promises of a cure, as naturally some type of government officials have made it so they can't leave. And they are trapped within the gates of Raxter Academy. The forest around them, the tox has taken that. It has contaminated the animals, everything. And so it's basically like you don't want to venture there because you're probably going to die. Naturally, any good book is going to make you go out there. So what happens is you have one character, Hetty, who is just great. I love that name. It's so original for a YA novel, I think. Her best friend, Byatt, has a flare-up, and that's what happens when the tox flares up in you. And when that happens, you really only have a certain number. It's not like said what that certain number is, but until the tox really just takes you out. It doesn't matter that you're mutating. It just, takes you, it kills you. Byatt has a flare-up. She has to go to the nurse or infirmary, and then she goes missing. And Hetty is not going to take that lying down. She doesn't really believe that Byatt's fine, and that's kind of the line that's fed to her. Oh, well, this, that, the other thing. She's here. She doesn't believe it, and so she has to venture out to find her. So she has to venture out into this place that is no longer the forest that she once knew. And she finds out the truth about the quarantine, the tox, everything. And it's just absolutely fascinating. I truly loved it. I didn't know how it was going to end the entire time, because I just kept wondering, how is it possible Rory Power can even end this, But it's great. That's your Contagion novel. I highly recommend. And that cover is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. The moment I saw it, plucked it right up. Yes, I do choose some books by their covers. I know. I don't need a lecture. I know. All right. Third book, number 3, is Let's Call It a Doomsday by Katie Henry. It is the realistic novel that I've chosen. So this one's a little bit different than the others because the apocalypse hasn't happened. Okay? You have Ellis, who is just your average teenage girl living her life, with the exception that she's a doomsday prepper in a family of those that are not and that don't understand her. Ellis is ready. She's ready for a solar flare, a contagion, a nuclear disaster, what have you. And that is how her anxiety manifests. So she's been seeing a therapist because they are labeled as irrational fears. This whole thing of the world's going to end, the world's going to end, the world's going to end, and we need to be prepared. You know, her parents don't get it, so they send her to a therapist. In that, she meets fellow patient by accident. They kind of just walk past each other in the waiting room of the therapist's office. She meets Hannah, and Hannah turns to her and says, I know when the world is going to end. And Hannah tells her that she has prophetic visions and dreams and all that. So she also knows things that she really shouldn't know. And that's how Ellis is a little bit like, okay, maybe this has some, credence or what have you. So you have all this. You have prophetic dreams. You have Ellis believing that the world's going to end. And, someone's told her the world's going to end. And it is just this wild ride of, okay, if the world's going to end, what do I do? But throughout all of that, the other part is that Ellis knows the world's going to end, yet she's also struggling with her sexual identity. And what that means, and if it even matters, because the world's going to end, and so should it matter if she understands and then claims this identity that she has, in a lot of ways ignored, and what that means in terms of her Mormon faith. And with faith, is that important as the world's going to end? And it's just a beautiful novel. It's very different than the other two I've given you because the other two are very in your face in this, intense ride. Whereas Let's Call It a Doomsday is definitely more about friendship and family. And if the world were to end, what matters? What really matters? That's always just a great question to keep in mind. Does this matter right now? Does this matter in the long run? Is this who I want to be? Is this what I want for my life? Whatever time I have left here, is this what I want? And those are just beautiful questions to ask. And Henry does a great job incorporating faith and sexual identity and everything of that nature. It's a really well done novel. I really enjoyed it. So those are the big three. If you want to lean into this apocalyptic feel, those are the big three. This Is Not a Test by Courtney Summers, Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and Let's Call It a Doomsday by Katie Henry. 1, 2, and 3. I hope that you pick them up. I hope if you pick them up, you enjoy them. If not, not for you, that's okay. But I did really like them, and I wouldn't do a video on them if I didn't recommend. If you're wondering what I'm currently reading, you can find my reviews on Goodreads. But my name's Jessica Ryan, so you probably just won't find me. But if you like this video, please subscribe, please like, and if you want other book recommendations or you think that I should read this book or, put a certain book on a list eventually and talk about it, please put that in the comments. I would be so happy to do so. And I hope everybody out there is happy, safe, and healthy and enjoying your time, and I hope that you pick up one of these books, or if not, you pick up a book because it's great to get out of your own head every now and then. So until next time, I hope you all have great days.